Christmas Eve, I found my fiancé in bed with my stepsister. My mother was dying, and they still expected me to walk down that aisle. So I ran. Wedding dress. Bare feet. Snow falling. I burst into the wrong hotel room and froze. A man stood there dripping wet, towel barely covering him, water sliding down tattooed muscle. Dark eyes locked on mine. My father's best friend. The Mafia Godfather I'd never met. Leonardo Santoro. His voice, velvet and danger, close at Sposa. You're mine now. If you're here for forbidden Mafia romance with enough sauce where the runaway bride becomes a queen, you're in the right place. Hit subscribe and stay put because this story gets dangerously good. 24 hours earlier I was Naomi Pierce. The perfect bride, the good daughter, the woman who always did what she was told. My mother had stage 4 cancer. Tyler Bradford's father promised to pay for everything if I married his son. My parents called it salvation. I called it survival. Then I opened Tyler's bedroom door the night before our wedding. Him. My stepsister Sienna. Together. His laugh when he saw my face. You really thought I loved you, Naomi? This was about finally getting what you wouldn't give me. 2 years of fighting off his hands. 2 years of him forcing himself on me while I barely escaped each time. And my parents knew about last night. Didn't care. Think of your mother. This is just one day. But it wasn't one day. It was the rest of my life. I was at the altar when my best friend Peyton grabbed my hand. Run. Now. So I did. Through the church. Through the snow. Into the Catalina Hotel to clear my head. Room 808, the receptionist said. The door was unlocked. I didn't think. I just burst through. And walked straight into a man who looked like sin carved from marble. Silver-streaked dark hair. Mediterranean features that could cut glass. Tattoos covering every inch of his torso. Roses, thorns, Italian script wrapping around muscle that looked like it had been built for violence. Water droplets sliding down his chest over his abs, disappearing into a white towel hanging dangerously low. He knew me instantly. Naomi? Christo, you're all grown up. My father's best friend. The man from childhood photographs. Leonardo Santoro. My godfather. The man I'd been promised to since birth. A promise my dying father forced on everyone to repay the blood debt he owed. The man who looked at me like I was his salvation and his damnation all at once. Behind me, Tyler's voice echoed down the hallway. Naomi. Get back here. Leonardo's hand shot past me. The door slammed shut. Locked. Those dark, dangerous eyes met mine. Close at Sposa. A pause heavy with possession. You're mine now. And just like that, I stopped running from one man and ran straight into the arms of another. The only question was, had I just escaped a cage or walked into a deadlier one? The hotel room door slammed shut behind me and I couldn't breathe. My chest heaved against the restrictive bodice of this wedding dress. This beautiful, suffocating prison of ivory silk that Tyler's mother had chosen. That I'd smiled about. That I'd pretended to love. The man in front of me stepped back, giving me space, though his dark eyes never left my face. Water still dripped from his silver-streaked hair, sliding down the sharp planes of his face, over the tattoos that covered his chest and arms like a roadmap of violence and beauty. Naomi. He said my name like a prayer and a curse. You're supposed to be getting married right now. I laughed. Came out broken, hysterical. I was. Until I found my fiancé in bed with my stepsister last night. Until he told me he only proposed to get into my pants because I wouldn't. My voice cracked. Because I kept saying no. Something dangerous flickered across Leonardo's face. His jaw tightened and for a moment I saw exactly what he was beneath the expensive veneer. A predator. A killer. This Tyler Bradford, he said, his Italian accent thickening with barely controlled rage. He forced you. He tried. Multiple times. I always managed to. I wrapped my arms around myself. But last night, seeing him with Sienna, hearing him laugh about it, and then my parents this morning telling me I still had to go through with it because his father promised to pay for my mother's treatment. Your mother's sick? Stage 4 cancer. The experimental treatment costs more than we have. Tyler's father said he'd cover everything if I married Tyler. If I became the perfect Bradford wife. I met his eyes. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't stand at that altar and promise forever to a man who... A knock thundered on the door. Tyler's voice, entitled and furious. Miss Pierce. I know you're in there. Hotel security is coming. You need to come out and discuss this like an adult. I stumbled backward, panic clawing up my throat. Leonardo caught me, his hands warm and steady on my shoulders. Up close, I could see the details I'd missed in my initial panic. The silver at his temples that only made him more devastating, the scar cutting through his left eyebrow, the way his dark eyes held both gentleness and lethal promise. "Stay behind me," he murmured, then moved to the door. He opened it still wearing only that towel, and the effect was immediate. Tyler stood in the hallway with 2 security guards and his head groomsman. All 4 men froze, taking in Leonardo's imposing presence. The tattoos, the muscle, the barely concealed violence in his stance. "The lady's not marrying anyone today," Leonardo said, his voice quiet but absolute. "Go back to your wedding and tell your guests the bride has made her choice." Tyler's face flushed red. "You can't just, who the hell are you? Naomi, get out here now." "No." My voice came stronger than I expected. I stepped out from behind Leonardo, meeting Tyler's gaze. "I'm not marrying you, Tyler. Not today. Not ever. Your mother is dying," I finished. "And she'd rather die than watch me marry a man who assaulted me." Tyler's expression shifted to something uglier. "Assaulted? Jesus Christ, Naomi, we were engaged. You can't assault someone you're in a relationship with." Leonardo's hand shot out, gripping the door frame so hard his knuckles went white. "You need to leave. No. While you still can." Something in his tone made even Tyler hesitate. The security guards exchanged glances, clearly not paid enough to intervene in whatever this was. "Her parents will hear about this," Tyler spat. "The lawsuit alone will destroy your family, Naomi. You humiliated me. You'll pay for. She's under my protection now." Leonardo's words cut through Tyler's threats like a blade. "Which means she's untouchable. You and your father would be wise to remember that." Tyler looked between us, his face cycling through rage, confusion, and finally, when he really looked at Leonardo, fear. "Who are you?" "Her godfather." Leonardo's smile was all teeth and no warmth. "Leonardo Santoro. Perhaps you've heard the name." The color drained from Tyler's face. Even I felt the weight of that revelation crashing over me, though I'd already known from the childhood photographs. Leonardo Santoro. My father's best friend. The man who'd saved my father's life 30 years ago. The man my father had written about in letters I'd found after his death. The man my father had promised me to on his deathbed. Tyler backed away slowly, pulling his groomsmen with him. "This isn't over." "Yes," Leonardo said softly. "It is." After they left, Leonardo closed the door with controlled precision. The lock clicked into place with a finality that should have frightened me. Instead, I felt the first stirring of safety I'd experienced in years. Then the reality hit me. "You're Leonardo Santoro." It wasn't a question. My father's best friend. The man who saved his life. Yes. He moved to grab a robe from the bathroom, giving me space. When he returned, properly covered, he gestured to the sitting area of his suite. "Sit, Piccola. We need to talk." "Don't call me that." The endearment felt too intimate, too familiar. "I don't even know you." "No, you don't." He poured 2 glasses of water from the minibar, handing me one. "But I know you. Your father sent me photographs. Every birthday, every graduation, every achievement. He wrote letters about you constantly." My hand trembled around the glass. "He never mentioned you. Not once." "Why would he?" "Because he made me a promise." Leonardo sat across from me, his expression carefully neutral. "On his deathbed 3 years ago, he asked me to protect you. To marry you when you came of age." The water turned to ice in my stomach. "He what?" "Your father saved my life 30 years ago. Took a bullet meant for me during a business dispute. I owed him everything." Leonardo's jaw tightened. "When he was dying, he called in that debt. Made me promise to marry you to keep you safe in a world he knew could be dangerous." "Safe?" I laughed bitterly. "By selling me like property? By arranging my life without my consent?" I told him no. Leonardo's admission shocked me into silence. Multiple times. What he asked was wrong on every level. "You were a child in those photos. His daughter, my goddaughter. The thought of marrying you felt predatory, manipulative, everything I hated about the old ways." "Then why?" "Because he didn't just ask, Naomi. He made sure I'd have no choice. Leonardo pulled out his phone, showed me a document. Your father knew things about me. Things that could destroy everything I've built, put people I care about in danger. He used that knowledge to secure his promise. I either agreed to protect you, or he'd ensure certain information reached certain people after his death. Rage built in my chest, hot and choking. He blackmailed you. He loved you desperately. In his mind, he was ensuring your future would be secure, that you'd be protected by someone with the power to keep you safe. Leonardo's expression softened. But yes, he blackmailed me. And I've spent 3 years resenting him for it, refusing to act on that promise because you deserve to live your life freely. Until today. Until today, when you burst through my door in a wedding dress, running from a man who hurt you. He met my eyes and I saw the conflict there, duty warring with something else I couldn't quite name. Now you need protection, Piccola. The Bradford family won't let this humiliation stand. They'll come after you, your career, everything you've built. Your mother's medical bills will be weaponized against you. My chest tightened. My mother. God, she must be. I'll handle it. Leonardo's certainty should have felt presumptuous. Instead, it felt like oxygen. Your mother's treatment will be paid for. The Bradfords will be dealt with. And you'll be safe. In exchange for what? Marrying you? Becoming your obligation? No. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. I'm offering you choices your father never gave either of us. Option 1. I provide protection, handle the Bradford problem, pay your mother's bills. No strings. You live your life freely and I fulfill my promise to your father by keeping you safe from a distance. And option 2? You stay here. Play my wife publicly for 6 months. Give us both time to figure out what this, he gestured between us, could be without the weight of your father's manipulation. After 6 months, if you want to leave, you walk away free. No obligations. No debts. I should have chosen option 1. Should have run from this dangerous man and his dangerous offer. But something in his eyes, that careful control over what looked like genuine care, made me hesitate. Why would you want option 2? I asked. If you resented my father's promise so much, why offer me more than protection? Leonardo was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried a vulnerability that cracked something in my chest. Because when you burst through that door, Piccola, looking terrified and magnificent in that wedding dress, you didn't see your godfather. You saw just a man. And I didn't see my goddaughter. I saw a woman I'd been telling myself I couldn't want for 3 years. The admission hung between us, charged and dangerous. That's wrong, I whispered. You're my godfather. That's supposed to mean something. I was never your godfather in any way that mattered. I stood at your baptism because your father asked me to, but I didn't watch you grow up, didn't raise you, didn't act as guardian. I was a stranger who happened to be in old photographs. His eyes held mine. We get to decide what we are to each other now, Naomi. Not your father. Not obligation. Us. Tyler's voice echoed in my memory. This was about finally getting what you wouldn't give me. But when Leonardo looked at me, I didn't see that same entitled hunger. I saw want, yes, but tempered by restraint, by respect, by a willingness to let me choose. If I stay, I said slowly, I need terms. Name them. I keep my own space. My own money once my accounts are unfrozen. My own career. And absolutely no sexual obligation. After what, Tyler? My voice cracked. I can't be touched without my consent. Not ever again. Agreed. Completely. Leonardo's expression turned fierce. You'll have your own suite, completely private. I won't even knock without permission. Your career in fashion design stays yours. In fact, I have hotels that could use someone with your talent if you're interested. And nothing physical happens unless you initiate it. Ever. Why? Why agree to everything I ask? Because your father was wrong about how to protect you, Piccola. Real protection isn't control. It's creating a space where you can finally be free. I looked at this man. This dangerous, complicated, beautiful man who'd been trapped by my father's manipulation just as much as I had. Who was offering me choices instead of demands. Who looked at me like I was precious rather than property. 6 months, I heard myself say. I'll stay. We'll see what this could be. But Leonardo. See. I'm not your goddaughter anymore. I can't think of you that way, and also, consider what you're asking. A slow smile curved his lips, transforming his face from hard to heartbreaking. Good. Because I stopped thinking of you as my goddaughter the moment those photographs started showing a woman instead of a child. And I've been fighting that guilt ever since. My phone buzzed. 17 missed calls. My mother. Tyler. Tyler's mother. My own mother's texts were frantic. Where are you? The church is in chaos. Think of the treatment. Please come back. Leonardo gently took the phone from my shaking hands. I'll handle your mother's hospital bills tonight. Anonymously. She'll never know the money came from me. Your only job right now is to breathe. I don't know how to do this, I admitted. How to accept help without feeling like I owe something in return. Then learn. Starting now. He stood, offered his hand. Come. I'll show you to your suite. You can rest, process, and tomorrow we'll deal with the fallout together. I took his hand. His palm was warm, calloused, and steady. As he led me through his penthouse, all old-world luxury and modern security, I tried to process the impossibility of the last 2 hours. I'd fled one altar and run straight into the arms of the man my dead father had chosen for me. But for the first time in years I didn't feel trapped. I felt like maybe, just maybe, I could finally breathe. I woke to December sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and spent 10 confused seconds trying to remember where I was. Then the previous day crashed back. Tyler. Tina. The wedding. Leonardo. Leonardo. My godfather. Except he wasn't, not really. We'd established that last night in careful, aching detail. He was a stranger who happened to be in childhood photos. A man my father had manipulated into a promise neither of them could keep without destroying something essential. A man who'd looked at me like I was his salvation and his damnation. My phone showed 43 missed calls. I scrolled through them with numb fingers. Tyler, his mother, my mother, Peyton, numbers I didn't recognize. Tyler's texts escalated from apologetic to threatening. His mother's were pure venom. You've humiliated this family. There will be consequences. Then Peyton's message sent at 2 in the morning. Wherever you are, stay there. Tyler's father is pissed. He's making calls. Be careful, babe. A soft knock on my bedroom door made me jump. Naomi. Leonardo's voice carried through the wood. I have breakfast if you're awake. No pressure. I'll leave it outside your door if you prefer privacy. I looked down at myself, still in the slip I'd worn under the wedding dress, my box braids tangled from a restless night. But something in his careful distance, his respect for boundaries, made me open the door. He stood in the hallway wearing tailored charcoal pants and a crisp white shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows, exposing those tattooed forearms. His hair was still damp from a shower. He looked like sin dressed up as safety, and my body's reaction terrified me. Not because I didn't want him. Because I did. And after Tyler, wanting felt like danger. Good morning, Piccola. His eyes did a quick assessment, checking for signs of distress, not objectifying. I wasn't sure what you'd like, so I had Isabella make several options. Isabella. My housekeeper. She's been with me for 15 years. She'll respect your privacy absolutely. He wheeled in a cart laden with Italian pastries, fresh fruit, espresso, and what looked like a full breakfast spread. The domesticity of it cracked something in my chest. This is too much, I managed. This is care. Get used to it. He poured espresso with practiced ease, added cream without asking, then caught himself. Unless you prefer it black? I assumed from your father's letters that you took cream, but cream is right. I accepted the cup, our fingers brushing. The contact sent electricity up my arm. You really did read everything he wrote about me. Every word. For 3 years I knew your favorite color changed from purple to emerald green. That you graduated top of your design program. That you got your first big client at 22. That you loved your father desperately but felt suffocated by his expectations. Leonardo's expression turned complicated. I knew you, Naomi. Before I ever met you. And I hated your father for making me watch you grow into a woman I couldn't have. Because he'd promised me to you. Because you deserved to choose who you loved without a dead man's ghost making that choice for you. I sipped the espresso to buy time, processing. Last night you said my father blackmailed you. What did he know that could destroy you? Leonardo's jaw tightened. He moved to the windows, staring out at Manhattan like he could find answers in the skyline. When I was 19, still learning the family business, a rival's son tried to kill me. I defended myself. He died. Your father helped me hide the body, create an alibi. He saved my life twice. Once by taking that bullet, once by covering up a death that would have destroyed everything. So he used that secret to force you into promising to marry me. He used it to ensure you'd be protected by someone with the power and resources to keep you safe. In his mind, he was being a good father. Leonardo turned back to me. But he was also being a manipulative bastard who tried to control your future from beyond the grave. The bitterness in his tone matched my own rage. My father, who I'd loved so fiercely, who I'd mourned for 3 years, he'd betrayed us both. Used love as a weapon to chain us to a promise we never wanted. I need to see my mother, I said abruptly. She must be already handled. Leonardo pulled out his phone, showed me a banking receipt. $1 million transferred to St. Catherine's Hospital, earmarked for Grace Pierce's treatment. Anonymous donation. The hospital called her an hour ago. She's being moved to a private suite this morning, and her oncologist is starting the experimental treatment immediately. I stared at the numbers, trying to process. $1 million. Leonardo, I can't. You're not. It's a donation to the hospital. Your mother will never know it came from me. And you owe me nothing. His expression turned fierce. Your mother's life isn't leverage, Piccola. It's a gift. Because she raised you and I'm grateful you exist. Tears burned my eyes. Why? Why do all this for someone you just met? Because I'm a selfish man who wants you to stay. And you won't stay if you're drowning in guilt about your mother or afraid I'm keeping score. He moved closer, careful not to crowd me. I want you here freely, Naomi. Choosing me every day. Or choosing to leave. But choosing. I set down my espresso before my shaking hands could spill it. I still don't understand what you get out of this arrangement. You're paying my mother's bills, protecting me from Tyler's family, giving me space and freedom. What's in it for you? Honestly. He gave a self-deprecating laugh. The chance to figure out if what I feel is real or just 3 years of forbidden want manifesting as something deeper. The chance to know you as a person, not just words in your father's letters. And maybe, if I'm lucky, the chance to make you look at me the way you did last night. How did I look at you? Like I was safety. Like I was possibility. Like maybe I could be what you needed instead of what you were running from. His honesty was devastating. This man, dangerous, powerful, impossibly complicated, was giving me truth when everyone else had given me lies. My mother will ask where the money came from, I said carefully. Hospital will say anonymous donor. Happens more often than you'd think. Wealthy people trying to buy their way into heaven. His smile turned sardonic. I'm probably not getting into heaven regardless, but it's worth a shot. Are you really? I couldn't finish the question, but he understood. Mafia? Organized crime? Yes. My family's been in the business for 5 generations. I run legitimate hotels, restaurants, real estate. But there are other ventures your father knew about. Ventures that keep the legitimate businesses protected. He didn't apologize, didn't justify. Just stated facts. You need to know what you're getting into if you stay, Naomi. I'm not a good man. I'm just trying to be a good man for you. I should have run. Should have thanked him for my mother's treatment and walked away from this beautiful, dangerous disaster. But Tyler had been good, prep school perfect, country club acceptable, and he'd tried to assault me repeatedly. Leonardo was admittedly bad, and he'd given me nothing but respect and choices. I want to see the arrangement in writing, I said. Whatever we agreed to, I want it documented. My terms, your terms, exit clauses. His expression shifted to something like pride. Smart. I'll have my lawyers draft a contract this morning. You can have your own attorney review it. I'll pay for that too. No hidden clauses. No traps. Just clean terms. And if I change my mind? If I want to leave before 6 months? Then you leave. I'll still protect you from the Bradford family, still keep your mother's treatment funded. You don't lose anything by walking away, Piccola. I promise you that. My phone buzzed. My mother. I stared at it, dreading the conversation. Take it, Leonardo said gently. I'll give you privacy. He moved toward the door, but I caught his arm. The tattoos under my fingers felt like a brand. Stay, please. I don't want to do this alone. Something fierce and tender crossed his face. He nodded, settling into a chair across from me, close enough to be support but far enough to give me space. I answered, Mama. Naomi Grace Pierce. My mother's voice came strong despite the illness ravaging her body. What on earth possessed you to run from your own wedding? Do you have any idea what you've done? I caught Tyler in bed with Sienna. The words came flat factual. Christmas Eve. The night before the wedding. And he told me he only proposed to get what I wouldn't give him freely. Silence. Then softer. Baby, what do you mean what you wouldn't give him? He tried to force me, Mama. Multiple times. I kept fighting him off, kept saying we'd wait until marriage. But he didn't want to wait. He wanted to take. I heard my mother's sharp inhale. Naomi, why didn't you tell me? Because you were sick. Because Tyler's father promised to pay for your treatment. Because I thought I could endure anything to keep you alive. Tears slipped down my cheeks. But I couldn't. When I stood at that altar yesterday, I realized I'd rather you die knowing I honored myself than live knowing I'd sold my body to save you. Oh baby. My mother's voice broke. I never wanted that. Never. Your father made me promise. I know about the promise. I glanced at Leonardo, who watched me with careful intensity. I know about Leonardo Santoro. About what Daddy asked. About all of it. Another silence. Then, you found the letters. And the man himself. I'm with him now, Mama. He's helping. Naomi, that man is dangerous. Your father loved him like a brother, but Leonardo Santoro runs half the organized crime in New York. If you're with him because you're scared of Tyler, I'm with him because he's giving me choices when everyone else gave me orders. And because my mother just called about an anonymous $1 million donation to her hospital. Funny timing, isn't it? Silence again. Then very quietly, he paid my bills. He saved your life. Anonymously. Expecting nothing in return. But he's still the man your father promised you to. Still your godfather. Naomi, that's wrong? Taboo? Yes. But he's also a stranger who respects my boundaries more than Tyler ever did. And I'm choosing to stay with him for 6 months. Figure out if Daddy was right about him being the man who could keep me safe. And if he hurts you? I looked at Leonardo, remembering how he'd blocked Tyler without hesitation, how he'd offered me 3 different choices, how he'd paid for everything without keeping score. Then I'll leave. But Mama? For the first time in years, I don't feel like I'm drowning. I feel like I can breathe. My mother sighed, the sound of a woman who'd fought too many battles and was too tired to fight this one. Your father loved you so much he tried to control your future. Promise me you won't let Leonardo do the same. I promise. And Naomi? Thank him for me. For my treatment. Tell him I'll try to see him as more than the monster from your father's stories. After we hung up, I found Leonardo watching me with something like awe. You didn't tell her you were staying out of gratitude, he observed. Because I'm not. I'm staying because I want to. I stood, moving to where he sat. Close enough to feel his warmth but not touching. Your lawyers can draft that contract. But Leonardo, I need one more term. Name it. No more calling me Piccola. The endearment felt too intimate, too much like belonging. If I'm going to figure out what we are to each other, I can't have you reminding me of the Godfather thing. He stood, towering over me, close enough that I could smell sandalwood and something darker, more dangerous. Then what do I call you? Naomi. Just Naomi. And I'll call you Leonardo. Not Godfather. Not my father's best friend. Just the man I'm choosing to know. Just Leonardo, he repeated, testing the words. Then his hand came up, cupped my face with devastating gentleness. Va bene, Naomi. We'll be just us. The way he said my name, like a vow, like a prayer, made something in my chest crack open. I leaned into his palm without thinking, starving for touch that felt like care instead of conquest. I should warn you, I whispered. I'm complicated. Traumatized. I might run again. Then I'll wait. And when you're ready, I'll be here. You don't know what you're signing up for. His smile was slow, dangerous, beautiful. I've been falling for you in photographs for 3 years, Kara. I have some idea. The endearment slipped out unconsciously and I didn't correct him. Because maybe I was ready to be someone's dear one, as long as that someone gave me room to choose. My phone buzzed again. This time, Tyler, you'll regret embarrassing my family. My father's already made calls. Enjoy being unemployed. Leonardo read the message over my shoulder and something cold settled over his features. May I handle this? How? Let me worry about that. You focus on your mother's recovery and your own healing. The Bradford family won't bother you again. Leonardo, if you hurt him, I won't touch him. But I will make it very clear that you're untouchable now. He showed me his phone, the contact labeled simply, legal team. By tomorrow Tyler's lawsuit threat will disappear. By next week he'll be very busy relocating to his family's London office. Permanently. And my job. Whatever calls his father made I'll unmake. But Naomi. He met my eyes. You're too talented to work for people who can be intimidated. I have 3 hotels that need interior design overhauls. If you're interested, the contracts are yours. Your own terms, your own vision, your own success. I don't want handouts based on our arrangement. It's not a handout. I've seen your portfolio. Your work is extraordinary. I'm offering you fair contracts that will establish your reputation beyond what Tyler's family could touch. The work speaks for itself. I wanted to refuse. Wanted to maintain some independence that wasn't tangled in his generosity. But I also needed to survive. Needed to build something that was mine. I'll look at the contracts, I said carefully. But I work alone. No oversight. No interference. You hire me, then you let me create. Done. His smile returned, warm and proud. I look forward to seeing what you build, Naomi. Without anyone's shadow. Isabella appeared with lunch at 2. A spread of Italian delicacies that made my mouth water. She was exactly as Leonardo described. Efficient, warm, utterly professional. She called me Miss Pierce, and treated me like honored guest, not godson's obligation. By evening I had contracts from Leonardo's lawyers. 400 pages of legalese that his attorney walked me through over video call. The terms were clean. 6 months living arrangements, private suites, separate finances, no sexual obligation, exit clause with no penalties. My mother's treatment fully funded regardless of whether I stayed or left. Legal protection from the Bradford family for 1 year minimum. And one clause that made my throat tight. Leonardo Santoro acknowledges that Naomi Pierce's choice to stay or leave is completely her own, without coercion, obligation, or debt. Any relationship that develops does so freely between 2 consenting adults with no power imbalance. He insisted on that clause, his attorney explained. Wanted it explicit that your father's wishes don't bind either of you. I signed. So did Leonardo. And just like that, I officially became the fake wife of a mafia don who looked at me like I was precious. That night I found Leonardo on the penthouse terrace, staring at the city he controlled. I brought 2 glasses of wine, a peace offering or maybe a beginning. Thank you, I said, handing him one. For everything. For not making me feel indebted. Thank me by staying tomorrow. And the day after. And every day until you decide whether this could be real. And if it's not? If we realize this is just trauma bonding and forbidden temptation, then we'll have 6 months of being friends. I could use a friend who sees me as just Leonardo. I clinked my glass against his. To just us then. No ghosts. No obligations. Just 2 people figuring out if fate was right by accident. To just us, he echoed. And as we stood on that terrace watching New York glitter below us, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope that maybe my father's manipulation had accidentally given me exactly what I needed. A chance to choose my own future. Starting with the dangerous, beautiful man standing beside me. The dress arrived 3 days later in a black box tied with emerald ribbon. I stared at it on my bed, suspicious. Leonardo, I called, finding him in his office reviewing contracts. Did you buy me a dress? He looked up, reading glasses perched on his nose in a way that absolutely should not have been attractive. For the Met Gala tomorrow night. Unless you'd prefer to wear something you already own. The Met Gala. I repeated the words slowly, trying to process. You're taking me to the Met Gala. I take you as my wife or I don't go. Those are my only options. He set down his pen. But Naomi, I understand if public appearances aren't. I'll go. The words surprised me as much as him. But I'm looking at that dress first. And if it's some tiny, inappropriate thing. His laugh was rich and warm. Open it. If you hate it, my stylist has 3 more options arriving this afternoon. I opened the box with careful fingers. Emerald silk spilled out. A gown that was elegant, sophisticated, and somehow exactly my style. off-shoulder without being revealing. A slit that suggested rather than displayed. And when I held it up, the color made my brown skin glow. How did you know emerald was my favorite? I asked, even though I already knew the answer. Your father's letters. You told him it was your power color when you were 16. I should have resented that he knew these intimate details without knowing me. Instead, I felt seen in a way Tyler never managed in 2 years. The stylist arrived at 6. A tiny Italian woman named Bianca who kissed both my cheeks and immediately started mapping out possibilities. Your natural hair, she said, running fingers through my box braids. We showcase this. No hiding. No shrinking. You walk into that gala like a queen. She is a queen, Leonardo said from the doorway. Then to me, I'll let you get ready. But Naomi? Take your time. The event doesn't matter. Only you matter. After he left, Bianca smiled knowingly. That man has it bad. I've dressed women for Leo for 15 years. Charity dates, business obligations. Never once did he look at them the way he looks at you. We're not. I trailed off, realizing I didn't know how to finish that sentence. What were we? Strangers bound by a dead man's promise? A godfather and goddaughter redefining terms? Two traumatized people finding unexpected comfort? Whatever you are, Bianca said gently, he's terrified of messing it up. Obsessed over that dress for days. Wanted something that honored who you are, not what he wanted you to be. By 8, I barely recognized myself. The dress fit like it had been made for me, probably because it had been. My braids were styled in an elaborate crown that felt both regal and authentically me. Minimal makeup let my features speak for themselves. I look like myself, just elevated, empowered. Leonardo waited in the living room, and when I appeared he went completely still. He wore a 3-piece black suit that should have been illegal, his silver-streaked hair swept back, tattoos just visible at his collar and wrists. Dangerous elegance personified. Christo, he breathed. Naomi, you're too much. Not enough. Old insecurities from Tyler's constant criticism surfaced. Magnificent. You're absolutely magnificent. He moved closer, offering his arm. Every man at that gala is going to hate me tonight. And I'm going to enjoy every second of it. The Met was exactly as overwhelming as I'd imagined. Celebrities, socialites, old money, and dangerous people pretending to be civilized. Leonardo kept me close but not caged, his hand at the small of my back a steady presence as we navigated the crowd. Leonardo Santoro. A silver-haired man approached, genuine warmth in his eyes. We'd heard rumors you might actually attend. And who is this stunning creature? Salvatore, meet Naomi. My wife. The word came easily, naturally, and I felt the ripple effect through nearby conversations. Naomi, Salvatore Ricci. My mentor and the closest thing I have to family. Salvatore took my hand, studied me with sharp eyes that had seen too much. Your wife. Not fiancé. You've been keeping secrets, Leo. Some things are worth protecting from gossip. Indeed. Salvatore turned to me. Your father would be proud, child. Leonardo's been lost for years. You've given him purpose again. Before I could respond to that loaded statement, more people descended. Business associates curious about Leonardo's mysterious wife. Socialites cataloging my dress and jewelry for their mental gossip files. Politicians who wanted Leonardo's favor and figured I was a route to it. I handled them all with the social fluency I'd developed navigating predominantly white spaces as a black woman, code switching without losing myself, charming without being a performing seal. And Leonardo watched me work the room with something like awe. You're a natural, he murmured during a quiet moment. They love you. They love that I'm not what they expected. Black woman at the Met on a Mafia don's arm. I'm either a scandal or a power move. They can't figure out which. His hand tightened possessively on my waist. You're neither. You're my wife. That's all they need to know. Then I saw her. Giuliana Rossetti. Stunning, polished, everything society said Leonardo should have. She moved toward us with predatory grace, her smile sharp enough to cut. Leonardo. How unexpected to see you here. Her eyes raked over me, cataloging and dismissing. And with a date no less. My wife, Naomi, Leonardo corrected, his tone colder than I'd ever heard. Naomi, this is Giuliana Rossetti. An old acquaintance. Acquaintance. Giuliana's laugh was crystalline and cruel. Is that what we're calling a 5-year engagement now? My stomach dropped, but I kept my expression neutral. Leonardo's hand moved from my waist to lace with mine, acclaiming a comfort. We ended 3 years ago, Leonardo said flatly. When you demanded I choose between you and my family business. I chose the business. You chose to nurse that grudge ever since. And now you've married your goddaughter. Juliana's smile turned pitying. How very old world of you. Does she know that's what she is? An obligation fulfilled? A promise to a dead man? I know exactly what I am, I said, my voice steady despite the rage burning in my chest. I'm a woman who chose him freely. Can you say the same about your engagement, Juliana? Or did you choose Leonardo for his power and throw a tantrum when he wouldn't become something he's not? Her expression cracked. You have no idea what you're talking about. I know he's been honest with me from the beginning. About his business. About my father's manipulation. About what he is and what he'll never be. I stepped closer, letting her see the steel beneath my polished surface. And I chose him anyway. Not because I'm naive. Because he gave me choices when everyone else gave me orders. Juliana looked between us, something like grief flickering across her features. He'll break your heart. It's what he does. Then that's my heart to break. I softened slightly, seeing her pain beneath the venom. But maybe he broke yours because you tried to change him. I'm just trying to know him. After she left, Leonardo pulled me onto the terrace, away from curious eyes. I should have warned you about her. She shows up occasionally trying to make you feel guilty for choosing yourself? I finished. Leonardo, I don't care about your ex-fiancé. But I need to know, are there more surprises? More women who'll appear claiming you broke them? No. Juliana is the only serious relationship I've had. Everything else has been. He struggled for words. Transactional. Temporary. I've never let anyone close enough to matter. Until me. Until you. His hands framed my face, thumb brushing my cheekbone. And I'm terrified I'll fuck this up. That you'll realize I'm exactly what Juliana said. A monster who breaks beautiful things. Then don't break me, I whispered. Just be honest. Even when the truth is ugly. I can do that. He leaned his forehead against mine, and we stood like that in the cold December air, neither of us pulling away. Dance with me. Now. Right now. Before I lose my courage. He pulled me into a waltz on that empty terrace, Manhattan glittering around us, music drifting from inside. His hand settled at my waist with perfect propriety, but his eyes held something wilder. Hunger tempered by restraint. You're looking at me differently, I observed, breathless from more than just the dancing. I'm looking at you like a man instead of a godfather. Trying to figure out if you'll run. I haven't run yet. Not yet, he agreed. But Naomi? When you do, and you will because you're smart and I'm dangerous, promise me you'll tell me why. Don't just disappear. I promise. He pulled me closer, technically appropriate but feeling anything but. You were magnificent in there. Handled Juliana like you've been navigating society warfare your whole life. I have. Just usually as the only black woman in white spaces. This was easier. I had you beside me. Always. The word came fierce. For as long as you'll have me, Naomi. I'm yours. Later in the car ride home, his hand found mine in the darkness. Our fingers laced together, and neither of us let go even after we reached the penthouse. At my bedroom door he hesitated. Thank you for tonight. For being extraordinary when I gave you every reason to say no. Thank you for letting me be myself. I squeezed his hand. Even when my myself comes with too much attitude and not enough filter. His laugh rumbled through me. Your attitude is my favorite part. Then he did something that cracked my chest wide open. He brought my hand to his lips, kissed my knuckles with devastating gentleness and walked away without asking for more. I stood in that hallway watching him disappear into his wing of the penthouse, my knuckles tingling from his kiss, and realized I was in serious danger. As I was starting to fall for Leonardo Santoro. Not because my father wanted me to. Not because he was protecting me. But because when he looked at me I felt like I could be powerful and broken and healing all at once. And that was more dangerous than any Mafia connection could ever be. 6 weeks passed like a fever dream. We fell into a rhythm that felt dangerously domestic. Morning espresso while he read Italian newspapers and I sketched designs. Lunches when his meetings allowed, evenings where we talk until midnight about everything and nothing. He never pushed. Never crossed the invisible line we'd drawn. But that line was getting thinner every day. My design work for his hotels was thriving. The first lobby renovation, a boutique property in Tribeca, had made Architectural Digest's watch list. Clients I'd never dreamed of reaching out were calling. My career was exploding in ways that had nothing to do with Leonardo's name and everything to do with my talent finally getting the platform it deserved. But Tyler's shadow wouldn't disappear. His 23rd call came during a client meeting. I ignored it, but the voicemail made my blood run cold. You think you can humiliate my family and hide behind your godfather? My father's filing suit. Breach of promise. Emotional damages. The cost of the wedding. $3 million, Naomi. Unless you want to talk about reconciliation. I found Leonardo in his office, the voicemail playing on speaker. His expression went from neutral to absolutely glacial. He's threatening you with a lawsuit. Not a question. A statement laced with barely controlled fury. His father is. Tyler's just the mouthpiece. I sank into the chair across from his desk. Leonardo, $3 million. Is nothing. Pocket change. The cost of a good painting. He pulled out his phone. I'm calling my legal team. Wait. I caught his wrist. If you fight this publicly, it'll drag everything into the light. My mother. The wedding. Tyler's assault attempts. Everything. Good. Let it all come out. Let the world see exactly what kind of man Tyler Bradford is. And what kind of woman I am. My voice cracked. The one who let him assault her repeatedly. The one who almost married him anyway. The one who ran straight to her godfather's bed. We're not in bed together, Naomi. You know that's not. The world won't know that. They'll see exactly what Juliana implied. Godfather grooming his goddaughter. Mafia Don taking advantage of a vulnerable woman. It doesn't matter what's true. The story is too salacious to resist. Leonardo went very still. Then he set down his phone with controlled precision and came around the desk. He pulled me to my feet, hands gentle on my shoulders. Listen to me, Cara. Tyler Bradford and his father are going to learn a very important lesson about power dynamics in this city. His voice was velvet over steel. By tomorrow morning, that lawsuit will disappear. By next week, Tyler will be relocating to his family's London office. Permanently. How? Let me worry about how. You focus on your designs and your mother's recovery. His thumb stroked my collarbone, the touch sending electricity through me. You're under my protection now. That means something in this city. I don't want you to hurt him. Something dark flickered across his face. I won't touch him personally, but I will make it very clear that pursuing you carries consequences his family can't afford. That night I couldn't sleep. I found Leonardo on the terrace at 2 a.m, whiskey in hand, staring at the city like he could bend it to his will through sheer force of personality. You're up late, I said, joining him in the cold December air. Couldn't stop thinking about Tyler's hands on you. About him trying to. His jaw clenched. I want to kill him, Naomi. Physically, viscerally want to end him for what he did to you. But you won't. No. Because you asked me not to. And your wishes matter more than my rage. He handed me his whiskey. But Christo, it's taking everything I have to honor that request. I took a sip, the burn grounding me. Can I ask you something? And will you be honest even if the answer makes me see you differently? Always. Have you killed people? Not just that man when you were 19. Others. Leonardo was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of confessions that couldn't be taken back. Yes. 12 men over the course of my life. 11 who tried to harm my family or business. And one who, he stopped, looked at me. One who murdered your father's business partner and tried to frame him for it. Your father begged me not to kill him. But I did anyway. Fully. Over 3 days. The honesty of it should have horrified me. Instead, I felt something closer to grim understanding. My father knew. He was furious. Said I'd become exactly what he'd tried to protect me from becoming. A bitter laugh. But he also used that knowledge to blackmail me into protecting you. So perhaps he understood my nature better than he wanted to admit. I moved closer, standing beside him at the railing. I should be afraid of you. You should run from me. But I'm not. And I don't want to. I turned to face him fully. Does that make me damaged? That I can know you've killed 12 people and still want to be near you? It makes you honest about the world we live in. About the fact that monsters sometimes protect better than saints. His hand came up, cupped my face. But Naomi, I need you to understand something. I will never hurt you. Never force you. Never make you feel unsafe. Whatever violence I'm capable of, it doesn't extend to you. I know. And I did. Bone-deep certainty. Tyler was safe, proper, socially acceptable, everything my parents wanted. And he tried to rape me. You're dangerous, Mafia killer, everything society says I should fear. And you've never made me feel anything but respected. Respected, he repeated, moving closer. Is that all you feel, Kara? My breath caught. No. That's not all I feel. Tell me. His voice dropped to something rough and needy. Tell me what you feel when I look at you like this. Like I'm burning. Like I've been cold my whole life and you're the first fire I've found. I placed my hand on his chest, felt his heart hammering. Like maybe my father was right about you being exactly what I needed even though he was wrong about everything else. Naomi. I kissed him. Rose on my toes and pressed my lips to his, claiming what I'd wanted for weeks. He froze for half a second. Surprise or maybe giving me time to change my mind. Then his hand slid into my hair and he kissed me back like he'd been dying of thirst and I was water. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate and hungry and months of denial exploding into something that felt like inevitable. His tongue swept against mine and I made a sound I'd never made before. Need and want and finally taking instead of being taken from. When we broke apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rested against mine. Christo, Naomi. If you're going to kiss me like that, you need to tell me what you want. Because I'm hanging on to my control by a thread. I struggled for words, for clarity through the haze of desire. I want to stop pretending this is just an arrangement. I want to see where this goes. I want you, Leonardo. Not because my father said I should. Because I choose to. His hands tightened in my hair. You're sure? Because once we cross this line, I won't be able to go back to seeing you as just my responsibility. You'll be mine. Completely. And I protect what's mine with everything I have. Then protect me. Want me. Just stop holding back like I'm fragile. I'm not fragile, Leonardo. I'm a survivor. And I'm choosing to survive with you. He kissed me again and this time there was promise in it. Possession and tenderness and heat that made my knees weak. When his hands slid down my sides, I pressed closer, needing the contact after so long being afraid of touch. But when his fingers found the hem of my shirt, I froze. He felt it immediately, pulled back, hands going to safe territory. Too fast. No. Yes. I don't know. Frustration made my voice sharp. I want you. I want this. But Tyler. Made you afraid of intimacy. I understand, Kara. We go at your pace. Always. He kissed my forehead with devastating gentleness. Come. Let's go inside before you freeze. Inside he made tea with the same careful precision he applied to everything. We curled up on his couch, a first entering his private space, and he pulled a blanket over both of us without asking permission to be close. Tell me about him, Leonardo said quietly. About Tyler. What he did to you. Why? So you can feel justified in whatever you're planning? No. So I understand what you need from me. What will make you feel safe versus what will trigger bad memories. His hand found mine under the blanket. I want to love you, Naomi. But I need to know how to do that without hurting you. The honesty cracked something open in my chest. He never asked. That was the thing. He just pin my hands. Ignore when I said no. The only reason he never succeeded in. I couldn't finish the sentence. I fought. Every time. Scratched, bit, ran. He thought it was a game. Foreplay. I thought I was fighting for my life. Leonardo's hand tightened on mine, but his voice stayed gentle. Thank you for telling me. Naomi? When we're together, if we're ever together that way, I need you to know you're in complete control. You say stop, we stop. You change your mind, we stop. You want to try something and it doesn't work, we stop. No questions. No pressure. No guilt. Your body is yours. I'm just grateful if you choose to share it. Tears slipped down my cheeks. How do you know exactly what I need to hear? Because I pay attention. And because I've spent 6 weeks falling in love with you, Naomi. I know when you're anxious because you play with your braids. I know you like your espresso at exactly 7 a.m. I know you hum when you're designing and you think no one's listening. I know you're brave and brilliant and so fucking strong it terrifies me. You love me. The words came out small, disbelieving. I love you. Have for weeks. Maybe longer. Maybe from the photographs, though that was a different kind of love. This. He brought our joined hands to his lips. This is knowing you. Choosing you. Every single day. My father wanted this. Planned for it. Fuck what your father wanted. This isn't about him. It's about you and me and the fact that when I wake up the first thing I want is to see your face. When I'm in meetings I'm thinking about whether you've eaten. When I see something beautiful my first thought is showing you. His voice turned rough with emotion. You've become essential, Kara. And I don't know how to unwant you. I climbed into his lap, straddling him, needing to be closer. He went very still, hands hovering, asking permission. When I placed them on my hips he gripped carefully, present but not controlling. I love you too, I admitted. It scares the hell out of me but I do. You're the first man who's made me feel like I matter more than what I can give him. You matter more than anything. He kissed me softly, then deeper when I opened for him. And whatever we build together, it's ours. Not your father's legacy. Not obligation. Just us choosing each other. We stayed like that for hours. Kissing, talking, learning each other's bodies without pressure for more. His hands stayed respectful even when mine explored the tattoos I'd been fantasizing about for weeks. And when I finally fell asleep against his chest he carried me to my room and tucked me in like I was precious. The next morning I woke to news that Tyler Bradford was relocating to London for an exciting new opportunity. The lawsuit had been quietly withdrawn. And my mother called to say her doctor was amazed by her progress. The experimental treatment was working better than anyone hoped. I found Leonardo making breakfast, flour on his expensive shirt, attempting Italian pastries with mixed success. Did you sleep at all? I asked, stealing a piece of fruit from his cutting board. Couldn't. Too busy being happy. He caught my waist, pulled me close. Tyler's gone, Kara. Really gone. You're safe now. What did you do? Made it clear to his father that pursuing you would cost him everything. Business licenses, political connections, social standing. The Bradfords aren't stupid. They know when they're outmatched. He kissed my temple. And I may have reminded Tyler personally that if he ever contacts you again, I'll make him disappear in ways that won't involve prison. I should have been horrified. Instead I felt relief so profound it made me dizzy. Thank you. Always. He turned me to face him fully. But Naomi, I need to know. Last night when we... was perfect. Exactly what I needed. You gave me control and patience and you let me set the pace. I kissed him softly. I'm not ready for everything yet. But I'm ready for more. Ready to stop being afraid of wanting you. Then we'll take this as slow as you need. I've waited years for you, Naomi. I can wait longer. My phone rang. Peyton, my best friend who I'd been updating sporadically about the insanity of my new life. Hey babe, she said when I answered. I'm coming over. We need to talk about this Leonardo situation face to face. 2 hours later, Peyton sat in our living room, studying Leonardo like he was a particularly dangerous specimen. She'd let herself be escorted up by Marco, Leonardo's head of security, but her expression said she wasn't impressed by the luxury or the power. So, she said after Leonardo served her coffee and excused himself to give us privacy. You're living with your godfather, who your parents promised you to, who runs organized crime in New York. And you're telling me you're in love with him. That about covers it. Naomi Grace Pierce. She used my full name like my mother did when I was in trouble. Are you insane? Or are you so traumatized from Tyler that you've latched onto the first man who showed you basic respect? The accusation stung because I'd asked myself the same question. Maybe both. But Peyton, he's not. Not what? Not dangerous. Not exactly what society warns black women about when they date outside their trauma. Her expression softened. Babe, I love you. Which is why I'm asking, is this real? Or is this you trying to fix yourself by jumping into another complicated situation? I don't know, I admitted. Maybe it started as trauma bonding. Maybe I was just grateful someone protected me. But Peyton, he's given me space to heal. Hasn't pushed for anything I'm not ready to give. He looks at me like like you're his salvation? She sighed. That's beautiful and terrifying. Because what happens when you're healed and you realize you don't need saving anymore? What happens when the man who protected you becomes the man who controls you? He's not Tyler. No. He's worse. Because Tyler was an asshole with his father's money. Leonardo Santoro is a man with actual power who could destroy you if you ever wanted to leave. She took my hand. I just need you to have an exit plan. Need to know you're not so deep in this that you can't see clearly. Before I could respond, Leonardo appeared in the doorway. She's right. We both turned. He looked calm, controlled, but I saw the tension in his shoulders. You're right to worry, he said to Peyton directly. Naomi is vulnerable. She's been through trauma. And I'm a dangerous man who has every reason to manipulate that vulnerability. He moved into the room, sat across from us. But I'm also in love with her. Really genuinely in love. And that means I want her whole and healed and free to choose, even if she chooses to walk away. Pretty words, Peyton said. But men like you don't let go easily. No. We don't. His honesty was startling. But I'll try. Because she deserves that chance. Peyton studied him for a long moment, then turned to me. Hey. Here's what's going to happen. You and I are having weekly check-ins. You miss one, I'm calling the FBI. You seem even slightly not okay, I'm staging an intervention. And Leonardo. She fixed him with a glare. You hurt her and I don't care how much power you have. I will make your life hell. His smile was genuine. I'd expect nothing less from someone who loves her. After Peyton left, Leonardo found me on the terrace. She's good people. Good friend. She thinks I'm making a mistake. She thinks you're being brave in a terrifying situation. There's a difference. He pulled me against his chest. And she's right to be worried. I am dangerous. I could hurt you. The fact that I don't want to doesn't mean I won't. So what do? We keep being honest. Keep checking in. Keep making sure this is what you want, not what trauma or gratitude or obligation makes you think you want. He kissed the top of my head. And we love each other as carefully as we can, knowing we're both capable of breaking this. That night, in his study where he was reviewing hotel contracts, I curled up in the chair across from his desk and just watched him work. The way his brow furrowed when he concentrated. How he'd absently touch his bottom lip when he was thinking. The careful precision of his hands as he signed documents. He looked up, caught me staring. What? Just memorizing you. In case Peyton's right and this all falls apart. Then memorize this too. He set down his pen, came around the desk, pulled me to my feet. Memorize that I love you. That you're the best thing that's ever happened to me. That if this falls apart it won't be because I didn't try. He kissed me slowly, thoroughly. Memorize that you're safe with me. Even from me. I love you, I whispered against his mouth. I love you too, Carmia. More than I knew I could love anyone. And as we stood in that study, Manhattan glittering beyond the windows, I chose to believe him. Chose to believe this could be real. Chose to believe that maybe, just maybe, my father's manipulation had accidentally given me exactly what I needed. Not safety. Not protection. But a man who saw me as whole and chose me anyway. Even if that choice had started with obligation, it had become something real. Something worth fighting for. The phone call came on a Tuesday morning, 8 weeks into our arrangement. Leonardo's expression shifted from calm to complicated as he listened to rapid Italian on the other end. Si mama. Capisco. Pause. This weekend. Va bene. Another pause, his eyes finding mine. He's important. Very important. Ti amo entre io. After he hung up, he looked at me like he was bracing for impact. My mother's flying in from Sicily. She wants to meet you. The espresso I'd been sipping suddenly tasted like anxiety. Your mother. The one who doesn't know I exist. The one who knows you exist but thinks you're just under my protection. Not living with me. Not. He gestured between us. This. So we're about to have a very interesting conversation about how her son is involved with his goddaughter. Former goddaughter, he corrected automatically. Then softer, Naomi, I can tell her you're unavailable. That you're not ready to. No. I set down my cup with more force than intended. If I'm choosing this, choosing us, then I face your family. Besides, I'm curious about the woman who raised you. His expression turned fond and fearful in equal measure. Rosa Santoro is. She's traditional. Proactive. Has very specific ideas about who I should be with and what my life should look like. And I'm none of those things. You're everything she never expected. Which might actually work in our favor. She's been trying to marry me off for years. The fact that I'm actually interested in someone will shock her into cooperation. Friday night I found Leonardo pacing his study like a caged animal. I'd never seen him nervous before and it was oddly humanizing. She's going to ask you 1,000 questions, he warned. About your family, your faith, your intentions, why you're living here, whether I've been appropriate. Leonardo. I caught his hands, stilled him. Breathe. I've survived Tyler's mother. I can handle yours. Tyler's mother was a kitten compared to Rosa Santoro. The doorbell rang at exactly 7. Isabella answered while we waited in the living room, both of us probably looking like we were facing a firing squad. Then Rosa Santoro swept in, and I understood everything about where Leonardo got his presence. She was tiny, maybe 5'2" in heels, but she commanded space like she owned it. Silver hair pulled into an elegant bun, wearing a dress that probably cost more than my first car, and eyes that missed absolutely nothing. Those eyes landed on me and I felt catalogued, assessed and judged in approximately 3 seconds. Mama, Leonardo said, moving forward to embrace her. They spoke in rapid Italian and I caught enough to know he was introducing me. When he switched to English, his tone carried both love and warning. This is Naomi Pierce. The daughter of Michael Pierce, my oldest friend. The goddaughter, Rosa said, her accent thick but her English perfect. Leonardo mentioned in our last call that you were staying here under his protection. Some trouble with a fiancé? Yes, ma'am. I moved forward, offered my hand. She took it, but her grip was assessing rather than welcoming. And now you're... She looked between us and I saw the exact moment she clocked the truth. I see. Mama. Hush, Leonardo. Let me speak to the girl alone. It wasn't a request. She linked her arm through mine, steering me toward the terrace. Come, Naomi. We talk. Leonardo looked like he wanted to protest, but one glare from his mother had him staying put. On the terrace, Rosa settled into a chair and studied me with the intensity of a woman used to evaluating threats. So, she said, you're sleeping with my son. I'm not, we haven't. Heat flooded my face. It's not like that. Then what is it like? You live here. He looks at you like you're oxygen. Don't insult my intelligence by claiming innocence. I took a breath, chose honesty over diplomacy. Your son saved me from a man who was assaulting me. He offered me protection when my family wouldn't. We're figuring out what we are to each other. While living in his home. As his goddaughter. I was never really his goddaughter. He stood at my baptism, but he wasn't in my life. We met for the first time 2 months ago when I fled my wedding and accidentally ran into his hotel room. Something flickered in Rosa's expression. Surprise, maybe curiosity. Leonardo never told me this part. Because he was trying to protect me. From judgment. From people who'd see this situation and assume the worst. I met her eyes. But I'm not a victim here, Mrs. Santoro. I'm not some naive girl he's manipulating. I chose him. Freely. With my eyes open about who he is and what his world involves. And who is he in your eyes? A man who gave me choices when everyone else gave me orders. Who respects my boundaries even when they're inconvenient. Who loves me for exactly who I am instead of trying to make me into something more convenient. I paused. And yes, he's dangerous. He's killed people. He runs criminal enterprises alongside legitimate ones. But he's never made me feel unsafe. Not once. Rosa was quiet for a long moment, studying me with those sharp eyes. Then surprisingly she smiled. Good answer. Wrong answer would have been to sugarcoat him. To pretend he's anything other than what he is. I can't afford to sugarcoat anything anymore. Life's too short. How old are you, child? 24. And Leonardo is 52. You understand what people will say? About him grooming you, about inappropriate relationships, about a Mafia don taking advantage of his goddaughter? I finished. Yes, I know. I've heard it. But Mrs. Santoro, we were strangers when we met. The Godfather thing is a title on paper, not a relationship we ever had. And he fought this. Fought falling for me because he thought it was wrong. I'm the one who pushed. That surprised her. You pursued him? I kissed him first. Told him I wanted this despite every logical reason to walk away. He's been the one trying to pump the brakes, make sure I'm choosing freely. Rosa stood moved to the railing. After a moment I joined her. Michael Pierce, she said quietly. Your father. He asked Leonardo to protect you, didn't he? He blackmailed Leonardo into promising to marry me. Used secrets from Leonardo's past to force compliance. Ah. Rosa's expression turned complicated. Michael always was intense in his love. Manipulative when he thought he was protecting someone. I told Leonardo not to agree to that ridiculous promise. But he did anyway. Because he owed your father his life twice over. And because, she turned to me. Because even then I think he saw something in those photographs Michael sent. Something that drew him despite every reason to resist. You don't think it's wrong? The Godfather thing. I think it's complicated. Messy. Not what I would have chosen for my son. But, she cupped my face with surprising gentleness. You make him happy. For the first time in years my Leonardo is happy. How can I object to that? Relief flooded through me. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. I have conditions. She ticked them off on her fingers. 1. You finish your education if you haven't. 2. You maintain your own career, your own identity. 3. You tell me immediately if he ever makes you feel trapped or unsafe. 4. If you marry him, and I think you will, you do it because you want to, not because you feel obligated. I can agree to all of that. Good. Then welcome to the family, Figlia. He kissed both my cheeks. Now let's go save my son from his anxiety before he paces a hole in the floor. Inside, Leonardo stood exactly where we'd left him, looking like he was preparing for bad news. When his mother smiled at him, I watched tension drain from his body. She'll do, Rosa announced. She's smart, honest, and not intimidated by you. I approve. You approve. Leonardo looked between us like we'd performed magic. Don't sound so shocked. I raised you to value strong women. This one is steel covered in velvet. She'll keep you honest. Rosa settled onto the couch, patting the space beside her. Now, tell me everything. How did Michael's daughter end up in your hotel room? And don't leave out the interesting parts. Over dinner, Isabella outdid herself with traditional Sicilian dishes. We told the story. Rosa listened with increasing emotion as Leonardo explained about Tyler, about my wedding day, about offering me protection and then falling in love despite trying not to. Your father, Rosa said to me, would have been proud. Not of the manipulation, that was wrong, always wrong, but of how you've handled this. You could have let Leonardo solve all your problems. Instead you're building your own success. I saw her latest designs, Leonardo interjected. The boutique hotel in Tribeca. Architectural Digest wants to feature it. Pride radiated from him and I felt it warm something deep in my chest. Show me, Rosa demanded. I pulled up photos on my tablet. The lobby I'd transformed from dated grandeur to modern elegance, preserving historical elements while creating something fresh. Rosa studied each image with the eye of someone who understood design. Bellissima, she breathed. Naomi, this is extraordinary work. You have a gift. Thank you. I have 2 more hotels in development. Completely different aesthetics. One ultra-modern, one preserving Art Deco elements. I want to prove I can do range, not just one style. Smart. Very smart. Rosa turned to Leonardo. You're commissioning her properly? Paying market rates? Not giving her projects because of your relationship. She made me bid against 2 other firms for the second hotel. I had to actually compete. Rosa laughed delightedly. Oh, I like her. Later, after Rosa retired to the guest suite, Leonardo found me in my room. I was changing into pajamas when he knocked. Come in, I called, pulling on a robe. He entered looking younger somehow. Lighter. She likes you. My mother actually likes you. She threatened me with very creative Italian curses if I ever hurt you, but yes, I think she approves. She told you about the curses? He laughed, pulling me into his arms. That means she considers you family. She only threatens people she cares about. Your mother is terrifying and wonderful in equal measure. She warned me that if I ever make you feel trapped or controlled, she'll fly back and personally ensure I regret it. I leaned back to look at him. Good. I'm glad she's on my side. She also told me. He paused, something vulnerable crossing his face. She said you're the best thing that's ever happened to me. That she worried I'd become so isolated I'd never let anyone close. That you're a gift I should treasure. Your mother is wise. She's right. He cupped my face, thumb stroking my cheek. You are the best thing, Naomi. The absolute best thing. I kissed him, soft and sweet and full of promise. When we broke apart, he rested his forehead against mine. Will you come to bed with me tonight? He asked. Just to sleep. Just to hold you. I don't want to be apart from you. Leonardo. I know we haven't. I'm not asking for anything physical. I just want you near me. Want to wake up with you in my arms. His voice dropped. But only if you're ready. Only if it feels safe. I thought about Tyler, who'd never asked, only taken. About the years of being afraid of intimacy, of touch, of sharing space with a man. Then I thought about Leonardo, who'd spent 2 months respecting every boundary, giving me space to heal. Okay, I whispered. Yes. I want that too. His bedroom was masculine but not aggressively so. Dark colors, clean lines, surprisingly soft bedding. He gave me one of his shirts to sleep in, turned away while I changed even though we'd kissed 1,000 times. In bed he pulled me against his chest, his warmth surrounding me. My head rested over his heart, the steady beat soothing something I hadn't realized needed soothing. This okay? He murmured against my hair. Perfect. This is perfect. I love you, Naomi. So much it scares me. I love you too. Even when it terrifies me. Especially when it terrifies us, he corrected. That's how we know it's real. I fell asleep in Leonardo Santoro's arms, feeling safer than I ever had in Tyler's. And when I woke in the morning to find him watching me with soft eyes and a softer smile, I knew I'd made the right choice. My father had tried to write our story. But we were rewriting it together, making it ours. And it was better than anything he could have planned. The call came 3 weeks after Rose's visit, during what had become my favorite time of day. Morning coffee with Leonardo before the world demanded our attention. His phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and something cold settled over his features. I need to take this. He stood, moving to his study. But I heard his voice through the door, sharp Italian punctuated by a name that made my blood chill. Vladimir Kashir. When he returned, his expression was carefully neutral. Too neutral. What's wrong? I asked. Nothing you need to worry about. Business complication. Leonardo. I set down my cup. We promised honesty. What's happening? He was quiet for a long moment, then sighed. Vladimir Kashir. Russian mob boss I've been in territorial disputes with for years. He's making noise about expanding into properties I control. His jaw tightened. And he's asking questions about you. Fear prickled up my spine. What kind of questions? The kind that means he sees you as leverage. As a way to get to me. Leonardo came back to me, took my hands. I won't let anything happen to you, Naomi. I'm doubling security. Marco will be with you whenever you leave the penthouse. I don't want to be a prisoner. You won't be. You'll be protected. There's a difference. But over the next week, protection started feeling like a cage. Marco shadowed me everywhere. To client meetings, to fabric suppliers, to the hospital to visit my mother. Leonardo's other security guards appeared at random intervals, checking the penthouse, sweeping for bugs, making me feel like I was living in a fortress instead of a home. Then the anonymous messages started. The first arrived via email to my design firm account. A photo of me leaving the Tribeca Hotel, taken from across the street. No message. Just the photo and a timestamp. The second came 2 days later. Me and Peyton having lunch. Same format. Same silent threat. The third showed me entering Leonardo's building. This time there was a message. Beautiful goddaughter. Shame about the scandal. Would hate for the world to know all the details. I showed Leonardo. His expression went from controlled fury to something colder, more calculating. He's trying to scare you. Make you doubt staying with me. It's working. Naomi. Not doubt about us. Doubt about whether I'm putting you in danger by being here. If Vladimir thinks I'm your weakness. You are my weakness, he interrupted. And my strength. But mostly your mind to protect. And I will burn his entire organization to the ground before I let him touch you. That night he held me tighter than usual. But I felt the tension in his body, the way his mind was working through problems he wouldn't share. 3 days later my design studio was vandalized. Someone broke in after hours, smashed my scale models, spray-painted threats on the walls. Mafia whore, and leave while you can. I stood in the wreckage with Marco trying not to cry. 6 months of work destroyed. Months of building my reputation, proving I was more than Leonardo's kept woman, turned to rubble and rage. We'll find who did this, Marco promised, already on the phone with Leonardo. But I knew who'd done it. Or at least who'd ordered it. Leonardo arrived within 20 minutes, fury radiating from every line of his body. He pulled me into his arms and I let myself break finally, sobbing against his chest while he murmured Italian endearments and promises of vengeance. I want to go home, I whispered. We're going now. Marco, handle the police report and security footage. I want names by morning. Back at the penthouse I felt numb. Leonardo tried to comfort me but I kept seeing my destroyed work. Kept hearing the whispers I'd fought so hard to silence. She's just his goddaughter. Just another woman using him for access. Just a scandal waiting to explode. I should leave, I said finally, staring at the city lights. If I'm gone, Vladimir has no leverage. You can deal with him without worrying about me. No. The word came absolute. You're not leaving. You're not giving him what he wants. What I want is to stop being the reason people hurt you. You're the reason I have something worth protecting. His hands gripped my shoulders, forcing me to meet his eyes. Naomi, listen to me. Vladimir isn't doing this because you're my weakness. He's doing this because you're my strength. Because for the first time in years I'm happy. And happy men are harder to manipulate than empty ones. I don't want to be the reason you get hurt. Too late. I'm already destroyed by you. Already so far gone that losing you would break me more than anything Vladimir could do. He pulled me close. So we face this together. We protect each other. And we show him that we're stronger together than anything he can throw at us. I wanted to believe him. But that night I barely slept. Every sound made me jump. Every shadow seemed threatening. At 3 a.m. I found Leonardo in his study, reviewing security protocols with Marco. They stopped talking when I entered, which meant they'd been discussing things I wasn't supposed to hear. What aren't you telling me? I demanded. Marco glanced at Leonardo, who nodded. Vladimir's made contact. Wants a meeting. With you. With both of us. Says he wants to discuss territorial arrangements and that bringing you ensures the conversation stays civil. Horror bloomed in my chest. You're not seriously considering. I'm not taking you into danger. But I need to understand his endgame. Leonardo's expression turned cold, calculating. The Mafia don I sometimes forgot he was. Marco will set up the meeting. Neutral ground, heavy security. And you'll stay here with my mother and Isabella. Your mother's still here? I asked her to extend her visit. She's the only person besides Marco I trust to protect you if something goes wrong. The meeting was scheduled for Friday. The days leading up to it felt like waiting for execution. Leonardo grew quieter, more distant, his mind obviously running through scenarios and contingencies. I watched him become the man I'd heard about but never fully seen. Ruthless, strategic, willing to do whatever necessary to protect what was his. It should have frightened me. Yet I felt grateful. Thursday night I found him cleaning a gun in his office. The sight should have been shocking. After 2 months of carefully civilian life, seeing him handle a weapon with practiced ease made the reality of his world crash over me. I've never seen you with a gun before, I said from the doorway. He looked up, expression unreadable. I don't bring my work home unless I have to. But tomorrow isn't about business as usual. Tomorrow is about making sure Vladimir understands that touching you means war. I moved into the room, sat across from him. Have you killed people with that gun? Yes. No hesitation. No apology. 3 men. All of whom tried to harm my family. Will you kill Vladimir? If he gives me a reason to. Without hesitation. He set down the gun. Does that horrify you? It should. I reached across the desk, took his hand. But all I feel is grateful. Because Tyler threatened me for months and nobody stopped him. Vladimir threatens me once and you're ready to go to war. That's what protection looks like, isn't it? Not pretty. Not civilized. Just absolute. I love you, Naomi. I would burn the world down to keep you safe. I know. That's why I'm terrified. Not of you, but of what this world might take from us. Friday arrived too quickly. Rosa insisted on making breakfast, fussing over both of us like we were children heading to the first day of school instead of a meeting that might end in violence. Leonardo kissed me goodbye like he was memorizing the taste, the feel, the moment. "I'll be back by 6, he promised. "And this will be over. One way or another. Come back to me," I whispered against his mouth. "Whatever it takes, come back to me. Always, Carmia. Always." After he left with Marco and 4 security guards, the penthouse felt like a tomb. Rosa tried to distract me with stories of Leonardo's childhood, with planning dinner, with anything. But I couldn't stop watching the clock. 5 p.m. came and went. No word. 6 p.m. My phone silent. 7 p.m. Rosa's expression grew concerned. At 7:30 my phone finally rang. Unknown number. "Hello. Miss Pierce." The voice was heavily accented, cold as winter. "My name is Vladimir Kashir. I have something you want. And I think we should talk about an exchange." My blood turned to ice. "Where's Leonardo?" "Safe. For now. But that safety depends on your cooperation." "Pause. There's a car outside your building. You have 5 minutes to get in it alone, or I start sending pieces of your lover back to you." Rosa grabbed my arm, shaking her head violently. But I heard the truth in Vladimir's voice. He would do exactly what he threatened. "I'll be there in 3 minutes." I hung up before he could respond. "Naomi, no." Rosa tried to physically block me. "You can't, he'll kill you both. He'll kill Leonardo if I don't go. And I can't live with that." I hugged her quickly. "Tell Marco what happened. Tell him to find us." "But Rosa, I have to go. I have to try." I made it to the street in 2 minutes. The black town car waited exactly as Vladimir promised. The door opened. I got in before logic could stop me. The man beside me wasn't Vladimir, just hired muscle. He zip-tied my hands, blindfolded me, and we drove in silence for what felt like hours but was probably 30 minutes. When the blindfold came off, I was in a warehouse. Leonardo was across from me, tied to a chair, blood on his face but alive. Our eyes met, and I saw fury and fear warring in his expression. "Naomi, what the fuck? You weren't supposed to come." "Touching," Vladimir Kashir said, stepping between us. He was younger than I expected, maybe 40, with cold pale eyes and a smile that promised cruelty. The great Leonardo Santoro, undone by his goddaughter. How very classical. "Let her go," Leonardo snarled. "Your issue is with me. She's innocent. She's leverage. And she's exactly where I want her." Vladimir circled me slowly. "Tell me, Miss Pierce, what's it like to fuck your godfather? Does he make you call him daddy? Or does he prefer Godfather in bed?" "Go to hell," I spat. His hand cracked across my face hard enough to snap my head sideways. Through the ringing in my ears, I heard Leonardo's roar of rage, the sound of him fighting his restraints. "Don't touch her." Leonardo's voice carried a promise of death. "Vladimir, I swear to God." "You'll what? Kill me?" "We both know you won't. Not while I have her." Vladimir grabbed my hair, forced me to look at Leonardo. "Shall we tell her the truth about you, Leo? About what you really are? She knows what I am." Does she? Does she know about the 12 people you've killed? About the torture? About the man you kept alive for 3 days while you slowly dismembered him?" Vladimir pulled out a laptop. "Let me show you, Miss Pierce. Let me show you exactly who you've fallen in love with." What followed was 2 hours of psychological warfare. Footage of Leonardo's kills. Brutal, efficient, merciless. Crime scene photos of rivals who'd crossed him. Testimonies from people who'd witnessed his violence. Everything designed to make me see him as monster instead of man. But all I could think was, he did this to protect people he loved. To keep his family safe. To survive in a world that demanded violence. "You're wasting your time," I told Vladimir finally. "I know who he is. All of it. And I love him anyway." Vladimir's expression hardened. "Then you're as damaged as he is." "Perfect." He pulled out a knife. "Let's see how much you love him when I make you watch him bleed." He moved toward Leonardo and something in me snapped. Marco had taught me self-defense. Leonardo had insisted I learn. And the zip ties on my wrists had been getting looser as I'd worked them against the chair's rough metal edge. The ties snapped. Vladimir's back was to me, knife raised. I didn't think. Just moved. My foot connected with the back of his knee. He went down. I grabbed his wrist, the pressure point Leonardo had shown me, and the knife clattered to the ground. I kicked it away, dropped my weight, used his momentum against him like Marco had drilled into me. Then the warehouse doors exploded inward. 20 men. Guns drawn. Systematic chaos as Vladimir's people tried to fight back and failed. Marco cut Leonardo's restraints while I scrambled away from Vladimir. Leonardo was on me in seconds, hands frantically checking for injuries, eyes wild with fear and fury. "You weren't supposed to come," he growled. "You were supposed to stay safe. You were in danger. Safe doesn't matter if you're dead." He kissed me desperately, tasting like blood and relief. Then he pulled back, turned to Vladimir, and became someone else entirely. Someone cold. Someone deadly. "Take him," he told Marco. "Somewhere quiet. We're going to have a very long conversation about respecting boundaries." Vladimir laughed, blood on his teeth. "You can't kill me. Too many witnesses. Too much exposure." "I'm not going to kill you." Leonardo's smile was terrifying. "Death would be mercy. What you get is justice. And justice, Vladimir, takes time." As Marco's men dragged Vladimir away, Leonardo turned back to me. The cold violence melted, replaced by raw emotion. "You saved yourself. Again." Pride and terror mixed in his voice. "Christo, Naomi. You're magnificent and terrifying, and I can't lose you. Ever. Then don't let go. Never. I swear to you, never." We stood in that warehouse, surrounded by aftermath, holding each other like we could ward off the world through sheer will. And I realized, this was us. This was our reality. Violence and love tangled together, protection requiring darkness, safety demanding sacrifice. My father had promised me to a monster. But he'd accidentally given me exactly what I needed. A man dangerous enough to keep me safe and honest enough to let me see all of him. Even the parts that should have made me run. We didn't go home immediately. Leonardo insisted on taking me to a private doctor. One used to treating people who couldn't go to hospitals without questions. The bruise Vladimir left on my face bloomed purple and angry, testament to violence I'd survived. "I should have anticipated this," Leonardo said for the 10th time as the doctor examined me. His hands clenched and unclenched, rage barely controlled. "Should have known he'd grab you when he couldn't get to me directly. You did anticipate it. That's why you had Marco following me. Why you set up security." I winced as the doctor pressed on my ribs, bruised from hitting the ground, nothing broken. "Vladimir just moved faster than expected. Not fast enough to stop you from taking him down." Marco spoke from the doorway, something like awe in his voice. "Boss, she disarmed him. Used the pressure point technique I showed her once. And she executed it perfectly under pressure." Leonardo looked at me like I'd performed a miracle. "You attacked an armed man. He was going to hurt you. I didn't think. I just moved." "You didn't think, Christo, Naomi, you could have been killed. So could you." My voice rose, 2 hours of suppressed terror finally breaking free. "You were tied up, bleeding, completely vulnerable. What was I supposed to do? Watch him torture you? Let him use me as leverage while you suffered?" "Yes." He started pacing. "I'm expendable. I've lived my life. Made my choices. But you're everything. Everything good and clean and worth protecting in this world. I can't." His voice cracked. "I can't lose you." The doctor cleared his throat delicately. "Physically you're fine, Miss Pierce. Bruised, shaken up, but no permanent damage. I'm prescribing painkillers and recommending rest. Emotionally." He looked between us. "That's above my pay grade. But you might consider therapy. Both of you." After he left, Leonardo pulled me into his arms with devastating gentleness. "I'm sorry. For bringing this into your life. For putting you in danger. For being exactly what Juliana warned you about. A man who breaks beautiful things. You haven't broken me." I pulled back to look at him. Vladimir tried. Tyler tried before him. But I'm still here. Still whole. Still choosing you despite everything. Why? Raw vulnerability in that single word. Why choose this? Choose me? A man whose enemies kidnap you, whose world requires violence, who'll never be safe or simple or anything you deserve. Because you're real. Because you see all of me, the trauma, the strength, the mess, and you love me anyway. Because when I'm with you, I'm not performing. I'm just me. Know me. Not someone's perfect daughter or trophy girlfriend or goddaughter. Just me. He kissed me then, soft and reverent and aching. You're so much more than just anything, Kara. You're extraordinary. Back at the penthouse, Rosa descended on us like a fury. She'd called in every favor, activated networks I hadn't known existed, and had been approximately 30 seconds from storming Vladimir's warehouse herself when Marco sent the all-clear. Never again, she said, gripping both Leonardo's arms. Never again do you go into danger without proper backup. And Naomi, she turned to me. You magnificent, foolish girl. You could have been killed. But I wasn't. We weren't. And Vladimir's. Handled now. Leonardo's expression went cold. He won't bother us again. Ever. I didn't ask what that meant. Didn't want to know the specifics of Vladimir's fate. Some darkness I could accept without needing to witness. That night I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes I saw Vladimir's knife, Leonardo's blood, the cold calculation in my own movements as I'd attacked. I'd hurt someone. Deliberately. Efficiently. And the worst part? I didn't regret it. I found Leonardo on the terrace at 2 a.m., whiskey in hand, staring at nothing. Can't sleep either? I asked. Keeps replaying. You walking into that warehouse. Vladimir hitting you. If Marco had been 30 seconds later. He drained the glass. I've survived a lot of things, Naomi. But I don't think I'd survive losing you. I took the glass from his hand, set it aside and climbed into his lap. His arms came around me immediately, holding tight. We survived, I said. Both of us. Together. You shouldn't have had to. This life, this violence, it's my world, not yours. It became mine the moment I chose you. I cupped his face, forcing him to meet my eyes. I'm not leaving, Leonardo. Not because of Vladimir, not because of danger, not because this is hard. I'm staying because I love you. All of you. Even the parts covered in blood. I killed that man in the warehouse. The one guarding you. Snapped his neck with my bare hands before he could call for backup. His confession came flat, factual. I'd do it again. I'd kill 1,000 men to keep you safe. I know. And that doesn't horrify you? It should. I kissed him softly. But all I feel is grateful. Because I finally understand what real protection looks like. Not pretty words or empty promises. Real protection means being willing to do terrible things to keep terrible things from happening. He buried his face in my neck, his breath shaky against my skin. I don't deserve you. Maybe not. But you have me anyway. So we'll just have to deal with that. His laugh was half sob. How are you this strong? After everything, Tyler, Vladimir, all of it, how are you not broken? Because I had you. Teaching me to fight. Giving me space to heal. Loving me enough to respect my boundaries. I pulled back to look at him. You didn't break me, Leonardo. You helped me rebuild myself into something stronger. I love you. Simple words that carried the weight of everything. More than my life. More than my empire. More than anything. I love you too. Even when you're bloody and dangerous and making decisions I don't want to know about. Especially then. Because that's when you're most yourself. We stayed on that terrace until dawn, wrapped in each other, processing the violence we'd survived. When the sun rose over Manhattan, painting everything gold, Leonardo finally spoke again. Vladimir's testimony is going to implicate half the Russian mob in New York. His empire will crumble. The power vacuum will be complicated. Meaning the next few months will be volatile. Dangerous. Everyone will be positioning for advantage. He met my eyes. I can send you somewhere safe. Sicily maybe. My mother has a villa. No. Naomi. No. I'm not running. I'm not hiding. If we're doing this, building a life together in your world, then I face it beside you. Partners. Remember. Partners. He tested the word then smiled. Pie Queen. You're equal, I corrected. Queens imply I'm separate from the fight. I'm in it with you. Fair enough. He stood pulling me up. Then we should probably start preparing. The wolves will circle once they smell blood. Over the next week I watched Leonardo navigate a transition of power that looked like business but felt like warfare. Meetings with associates, careful alliances formed and broken, favors called in and granted. He moved through his world with practiced ease, and I saw why people both feared and respected him. He was brilliant at violence. But more than that, he was brilliant at strategy. "You should sit in on meetings," he said one morning. "If you're going to be my partner, you need to understand how things work. I thought you wanted to keep me separate from the business. I wanted to protect you from the darkness. But Naomi, you've already seen it. Already survived it. And I think you'd be good at this. The political side. The strategy. You have instincts I've seen in very few people." So I started attending. Quietly at first, just observing. Then offering opinions that Leonardo increasingly valued. I understood people, their motivations, their fears, their pressure points. And I could read a room in ways that surprised even Marco. "You're a natural," Rosa observed one afternoon. She decided to stay until things settled, which we all knew meant indefinitely. Michael would have been proud. And furious. He tried so hard to keep you safe from this world. He tried to control my future. There's a difference. True. She poured me tea with the automatic care of an Italian mother. But his heart was good even if his methods were terrible. He loved you desperately, Naomi. Just didn't know how to show it without manipulation. I'm trying to forgive him. It's harder than I thought. Forgiveness isn't about him anymore. It's about you being free of the anger. He squeezed my hand. You're building something beautiful with Leonardo. Don't let your father's ghost poison it. That night, Leonardo found me in the study reviewing contracts for my next hotel project. He'd been in meetings all day, looked exhausted, but his eyes softened when they landed on me. Come to bed, he said simply. I'd been sleeping in his room for weeks now, but we still hadn't crossed that final line. He never pushed, content to hold me, kiss me, let me set the pace. But tonight, looking at him, this dangerous, beautiful man who'd killed for me, protected me, loved me absolutely, I wanted more. Leonardo. I stood moved to him. I'm ready. For everything. I want you. All of you. Tonight. His breath caught. Naomi, you don't have to. I know I don't have to. That's why I want to. Because it's my choice. Because I'm choosing you freely, completely, without fear. I kissed him softly. Make love to me. Please. Are you sure? Because once I have you like that, I won't be able to. He struggled for words. You'll be mine in every way. And I'm not good at letting go of what's mine. I don't want you to let go. I want you to hold on. Forever. He kissed me then, deep, possessive, filled with months of restrained want. His hands framed my face like I was precious, breakable, sacred. When he pulled back, his eyes held a question. I answered by taking his hand and leading him to the bedroom. What happened next was tender and fierce in equal measure. He took his time, mapping every inch of my skin with his hands and mouth, whispering Italian endearments between kisses. When I tensed, he paused. When I encouraged, he continued. Always reading me, always responsive to every cue. Tell me what you need, he murmured against my throat. Just you. Exactly like this. I've got you, Kara. I've got you. When we finally came together, the sensation was overwhelming. Physically, yes, but more than that. Emotionally. Spiritually. I felt seen and known and claimed in the best possible way. This wasn't Tyler's violent taking. This was Leonardo's patient giving. This was choosing and being chosen in return. Afterward, wrapped in his arms, his heartbeat steady beneath my ear, I felt peace I'd never imagined possible. I love you, he whispered into my hair. More than I have words for. You're everything, Naomi. Everything. I love you too. Thank you for waiting. For letting me come to you when I was ready. I'd wait forever if that's what you needed. He kissed my temple. But Christo, I'm grateful you chose tonight. Chose me. Always you. From here on out, always you. We fell asleep tangled together, and for the first time since Tyler, I slept through the night without nightmares. Because I was safe. Really truly safe. Not just protected, but loved. Completely. By a man who'd seen my darkness and loved me anyway. Just as I loved his. Morning came with winter sunlight and Leonardo's lips on my shoulder, his hand sliding over my hip with possessive tenderness. I turned in his arms, found him watching me with an expression that made my heart stutter. Good morning, amore mio, he murmured. How do you feel? Perfect. I feel perfect. I kissed him softly. No regrets. No fear. Just happy. Happy. He tested the word like it was foreign. I've given you violence and danger and a world that tried to destroy you. And you're happy. I'm happy because you're here. Because last night was everything I needed it to be. Because you loved me carefully instead of carelessly. I traced the tattoos on his chest, roses and thorns I'd memorized in the dark. Because I finally understand what my body is supposed to feel like when someone touches me with care instead of conquest. His arms tightened around me. Tyler's ghost is going to haunt us, isn't it? Every time we're together you'll be comparing. No. Last night proved I'm done comparing. Tyler tried to take. You gave. There's no comparison. I met his eyes. You freed me from him, Leonardo. In every way that matters. We stayed in bed until Rosa knocked with breakfast. Her maternal instincts apparently extending to knowing when we'd need food delivered. The satisfied smirk on her face when Leonardo answered the door wearing only sleep pants made me laugh. Final meant, she said, setting down the tray. I was beginning to worry you two would dance around each other forever. Now maybe you'll actually plan a proper wedding instead of this arrangement nonsense. After she left, Leonardo returned to bed, balancing the tray between us. She's not wrong. We've been calling this an arrangement when everyone knows it stopped being temporary months ago. So what is it now? Real. He poured espresso with one hand, his other finding mine. Forever. If you'll have me. Are you asking? Not yet. When I propose properly, it won't be in bed over breakfast. It'll be, he paused. It'll be worthy of you. Romantic and thoughtful and everything you deserve. I don't need romance. I just need you. You'll get both. I'm greedy that way. My phone buzzed. Peyton calling for our weekly check-in. I answered on speaker. Please tell me you're alive and not currently being held hostage, she said without preamble. Alive. Not hostage. Though there was an incident. Incident? Naomi Grace Pierce, what the hell does that mean? Leonardo took the phone. Peyton, this is Leonardo. Naomi was briefly in danger but handled herself extraordinarily. The threat has been permanently neutralized. She's safe. Briefly in danger? Permanently neutralized. Peyton's voice rose. I swear to God, Leonardo Santoro, if you've gotten my best friend killed. She's right here. Want to video call so you can see for yourself. The video call revealed Peyton's fury and worry in equal measure. But when she saw me, bruised but smiling, tucked against Leonardo's side, her expression softened. You look happy, she said quietly. Genuinely happy. Even with that bruise. I am happy. Terrified sometimes but happy. And he's treating you well? No control issues. No red flags. He literally let me make every decision last night, I said, then realized what I'd implied. About the danger situation. The danger situation only. Leonardo's laugh rumbled through me. Peyton's eyes narrowed. Oh my God. You slept with him. Finally. Peyton. Was he good? Did he respect boundaries? Please tell me it wasn't traumatic. It was perfect, Leonardo interrupted, shameless. She's perfect. And yes, I respected every boundary. She sets the pace. Always. After we hung up, Peyton satisfied but promising to visit soon to evaluate the situation in person, I turned to Leonardo. You told my best friend our sex life was perfect. It is. Why lie? His hand slid up my thigh. Want to make sure it stays perfect? I'm a firm believer in practice. What followed was even better than the night before. Daylight intimacy, learning each other without darkness to hide in. He worshipped my body like it was sacred, paid attention to every response, made me feel powerful and desired and safe all at once. Later, wrapped in sheets that smelled like him, I finally asked the question that had been building. What happened to Vladimir? Really? Leonardo was quiet for a moment. Do you really want to know? I want honesty. Even ugly honesty. He's alive. In custody of certain authorities who owe me favors. His testimony will dismantle the Russian operations in 3 states. After that, he shrugged. He'll disappear into a prison that doesn't officially exist. He'll live. But he'll never hurt anyone again. You didn't kill him. I wanted to. Desperately. But you didn't want me to hurt him. So I found a middle ground, justice that keeps him alive but powerless. His hand found mine. Your wishes matter more than my rage, Kara. Always. The fact that he'd restrained himself, for me because I'd asked, made something in my chest crack wide open. Thank you. Don't thank me for doing the bare minimum of respecting your requests. It's not bare minimum. It's you choosing who I need you to be over who your instincts say you should be. That's love, Leonardo. Real love. He pulled me on top of him, hands settling on my hips. Then let me show you real love again. And again. Until you never doubt it. Over the next days we fell into a new rhythm. Work during the day, his empire, my designs. Evenings together learning domesticity. Nights exploring each other with increasing confidence. I felt myself healing in ways I hadn't known I needed. My mother's health continued improving. The experimental treatment was working miracles, and her doctor used words like remission and long-term survival. When I visited, she studied me with knowing eyes. You look different, she observed. Happier. More settled. I am. It's Leonardo, isn't it? You're really with him. Not just for protection. I love him, Mama. I know it's complicated, the Godfather thing, Daddy's manipulation, all of it. But I love him. She reached for my hand, squeezed with surprising strength. Your father would have been proud and furious in equal measure. Proud that you chose strength. Furious that you chose it on your own terms instead of his. I'm still angry at him. For the manipulation. The control. Be angry. He earned it. But baby, don't let that anger poison what you're building. Leonardo might have been your father's choice, but he's your choice now too. That's what matters. A week later, my studio reopened after repairs. Leonardo had hired the best contractors, upgraded security, ensured every destroyed piece was rebuilt better than before. The grand reopening brought clients and press, and I fielded questions about bouncing back from adversity with practiced ease. Juliana appeared at the reception. I saw her before she saw me, watched her study my designs with something like respect. They're good, she said when I approached. Better than good. You have real talent. Thank you. I owe you an apology. She turned to face me. At the Met I was cruel. Called you an obligation when I could see you weren't. I was. She struggled. Jealous. Of what you have with him. The way he looks at you like you're his entire world. He never looked at you that way? No. Because I wanted him to be something he wasn't. Legitimate. Safe. Respectable. But that's not who Leonardo Santoro is. And it took watching him with you to realize he doesn't need to change. He needs someone who loves him exactly as he is. She offered her hand. You're good for him. For what it's worth, I'm glad he found you. After she left, Leonardo appeared at my elbow. What did she want? To apologize. To let go. To be happy for us. I leaned into him. I think she finally got closure. Good. Because I'm done with my past. Only future from here. He kissed my temple. Speaking of which, are you free this evening? For you? Always. That evening he took me to the rooftop of his newest hotel, the one I'd designed. Candles lit the space, roses everywhere, the city glittering below us. My breath caught. Leonardo. Shoo. Let me do this properly. He took both my hands and I saw them trembling slightly, this fearless man nervous. Naomi Pierce. 2 months ago you ran from a wedding and crashed into my life. Into my room, my world, my heart. You weren't supposed to happen. I'd spent years refusing your father's manipulation, fighting, falling for photos of a woman I'd never met, convinced I was too dark for someone as bright as you. Tears slipped down my cheeks. But you chose me anyway. Saw my violence and my love and decided both were worth keeping. You survived my world's worst and came back stronger. You made me believe in forever when I'd stopped believing in tomorrow. He dropped to one knee, pulled out a ring box. I know we said 6 months. I know we're technically still in an arrangement. But Christo, Naomi, I don't want to arrange anything with you. I want to choose you. Every day. For the rest of my life. He opened the box. An emerald surrounded by diamonds. My power color, our forever. Marry me. Really marry me. Not because your father wanted it. Not because of obligation or arrangement or anything except that I love you more than I thought possible. Be my wife. My partner. My queen. My everything. Yes. The word came through happy tears. Yes, yes, yes. Forever, yes. He slid the ring on my finger, stood, pulled me into a kiss that tasted like promise and forever. When we broke apart, Manhattan stretched below us like a kingdom we'd conquered together. I love you, he murmured. My Naomi. My choice. My wife. I love you too. My Leonardo. My protector. My home. We stood on that rooftop until the candles burned low, planning a future my father had tried to write but we'd rewritten better. A future built on choice instead of obligation. On love that had survived violence and come out stronger. When, he asked. When do you want to marry me? We can wait, plan something big. Soon. I don't want to wait anymore. Something small, meaningful, ours. Just us and the people who matter. Rosa will insist on feeding everyone. Good. I want her there. Want Peyton and Marco and everyone who helped us survive this. Then we'll make it happen. He pulled me closer. Thank you for saying yes. For choosing this despite every logical reason to run. Thank you for being worth choosing. We went home, our home, not his penthouse but ours, and made love with the urgency of people who'd almost lost each other and the tenderness of people who knew they never would again. And when I woke in his arms the next morning, ring gleaming on my finger, I knew with bone-deep certainty that this was exactly where I belonged. Not in the life my father planned, but in the one we'd built together from chaos and choice and love that didn't quit. 3 months later, I stood in a private suite at Leonardo's newest hotel. My hotel, the one I designed from foundation to rooftop, and stared at myself in the mirror. The wedding dress was my own creation. African textiles meeting Italian lace, emerald threading through ivory silk, a design that honored both my heritage and his without erasing either. Peyton adjusted my veil. Simple cathedral-length tool that I'd insisted on despite Rosa's lobbying for something more elaborate. My braids were styled in an elegant crown, natural and unapologetic. You look like a queen, Peyton said softly. A real queen. Not a princess waiting for rescue. That's because I rescued myself. He just gave me the tools. And the love. And the protection. And the really expensive real estate. He grinned. Okay, maybe he helped a little. Rosa swept in, took one look at me and burst into tears. Bellissima. Michael would have been so proud. Proud and furious, I corrected gently. Because this is my choice, not his plan. The best things always are. He kissed both my cheeks. Leonardo is beside himself down there. I've never seen him nervous. It's adorable and slightly terrifying. The ceremony was small. Just 50 people in the hotel's private chapel. Leonardo's family from Sicily. My mother, healthy enough to attend, crying happy tears. Peyton as my maid of honor. Marco as Leonardo's best man. Associates who'd become friends. People who'd fought for us, protected us, loved us. No father to give me away. I'd insisted on that. This wedding wasn't about being given. It was about choosing. The music started. Peyton squeezed my hand. Ready. I've been ready since the moment he asked me to stay. I walked down the aisle alone, chin high, meeting Leonardo's eyes from the first step. He stood at the altar in a custom black suit, silver-streaked hair perfect, tattoos just visible at his collar and wrists. Dangerous elegance personified. My dangerous man. When I reached him, he whispered, Cristo, you're devastating. You're not so bad yourself. The ceremony blended Catholic tradition with Yoruba blessings. Father Antonio from Leonardo's childhood church presiding, my mother's pastor offering prayers, Rosa reading Italian poetry about eternal love. When it came time for vows, I'd written mine carefully. Leonardo, I began, voice steady despite tears. 2 months ago I fled a wedding to a man who tried to own me. I ran straight into your arms, the man my father chose for me before I could choose for myself. Every logical part of me said to run again. But I didn't. Because you did something revolutionary. You gave me choices. His hand tightened on mine. You showed me that protection doesn't mean possession. That love doesn't require perfect safety. That I could be broken and healing and strong all at once, and you'd love every version of me. You taught me to fight. You gave me space to heal. You respected boundaries I'd been taught men didn't have to respect. And you chose me not because my father said you should, but because you wanted to. Every single day. I took a shaky breath. My father tried to write our story. But we rewrote it together. Made it ours. Made it real. So today I choose you. Not because I'm obligated. Not because you saved me. But because you're the best decision I ever made. My partner. My equal. My home. Today and always I choose you, Leonardo Santoro. Freely. Completely. Forever. Leonardo's eyes were wet when he started his vows. Naomi, when you burst through my hotel room door in a wedding dress, looking terrified and magnificent, I knew my life was about to change. I just didn't know how much. Didn't know you'd make me believe in forever when I'd stopped believing in tomorrow. His voice roughened with emotion. I've done terrible things to survive in a terrible world. I've hurt people. Killed them. Built an empire on violence and fear. I'm not a good man, Naomi. But you make me want to be a good man for you. You make me want to be worthy of the way you look at me, like I'm your salvation when really you're mine. He cupped my face, thumb brushing away tears. Your father tried to force this. But what we built together is so much better than anything he planned. Because you chose me knowing exactly who I am, darkness and danger and desperate love all tangled together. And you loved me anyway. You saved yourself with tools I gave you, then turned around and saved me from becoming someone I hated. So today I promise you I will love you fiercely. Protect you absolutely. Respect your choices even when they terrify me. Give you space to grow even when I want to keep you close. And I will spend every day for the rest of my life trying to be worthy of the gift of your choosing me. Naomi Pierce, my wife, my queen, my everything. I am yours. Forever. No obligation. Just choice. Just love. Father Antonio smiled through his own tears. If anyone has objections, he paused for effect. Everyone laughed because who would dare object? Then by the power vested in me and with blessings from both traditions here represented, I pronounce you husband and wife. Leonardo, you may kiss your bride. Finally. Leonardo kissed me like a man starving, like I was oxygen and he'd been drowning. The chapel erupted in applause. Rosa sobbed loudly. My mother laughed through tears. And I felt complete in a way I never had before. This was choosing. This was love. This was rewriting every script I'd been handed and creating something better. The reception was held in the hotel's grand ballroom, the space I'd designed with soaring ceilings and elegant columns. Rosa had insisted on catering, which meant enough Italian food to feed an army. The cake was a masterpiece. 6 tiers, emerald and ivory, decorated with sugar flowers that matched my bouquet. Leonardo's toast made everyone cry. To my wife who taught me that monsters can be loved. And that love makes us human. My mother pulled me aside during dinner. I have something for you. From your father. She handed me an envelope, yellowed with age. He left this with his lawyer. Instructions to give it to you on your wedding day. My hands trembled as I opened it. My father's handwriting, familiar and painful. Naomi girl, if you're reading this, you've married Leonardo. I hope you chose him freely, not just because I manipulated you both into it. I'm not proud of the blackmail. But I'm not sorry either. Because I knew years before you'd even met him, that Leonardo Santoro was the only man in the world strong enough to love you right. You've always been so strong, baby girl. Too strong sometimes. Took on everyone's problems, never asked for help, tried to save the world at your own expense. I knew you'd need someone who could make you accept protection without making you feel weak. Someone who'd respect your strength instead of fearing it. Leonardo's done terrible things. So have I. We're men who survive in a world that demands darkness. But I've watched him for 30 years and I know this, he protects what he loves absolutely. And I wanted him to love you. To protect you when I couldn't anymore. If you chose him freely, then my manipulation accidentally gave you exactly what you needed. If you didn't, if you're reading this feeling trapped, then I'm sorry. Forgive an old man who loved too much and trusted too little. Either way, be happy, Naomi. Be fierce. Be exactly who you are. And if Leonardo ever makes you feel small, haunt him for me. Love you forever, Daddy. I was crying by the end. Leonardo appeared at my elbow, red over my shoulder, his arms coming around me. He loved you, he murmured. Manipulative bastard who never learned boundaries, but he loved you. I know. And I think I forgive him. Finally. That night, in the honeymoon suite I'd designed specifically for this moment, Leonardo undressed me with reverent care. My wife, he kept murmuring. My actual wife. Not arrangement. Not obligation. Mine. Yours. Always yours. We made love slowly, thoroughly, celebrating the fact that we'd survived everything thrown at us. Afterward, tangled in expensive sheets, he pulled me close. Thank you for choosing me. For seeing past the darkness to whatever light you found. The light was always there. You just needed someone to believe in it. 3 years later. The Fashion Week finale was in full swing. My collection rewritten, walking the runway to thunderous applause. Each piece told a story: liberation, the wedding dress I'd fled in reimagined; collision, emerald gown from the Met; warrior, inspired by the warehouse; forever, my actual wedding dress design, now mass-produced for brides who wanted strength and beauty. Backstage I held our 18-month-old twins, Alessandro and Grace, named for Leonardo's father and my mother. Ally had his father's dark eyes and my complexion. Gracie had my features and Leonardo's intensity. Both were gloriously spoiled by their Italian grandmother and their papa, who turned out to be completely undone by fatherhood. Leonardo appeared, took Ally from my arms. Our son immediately grabbed his father's nose, giggling. Your mama just became the most talked about designer in New York. Second most talked about, I corrected. You made Forbes' list of most powerful men in the city. Only because my wife's business acumen is contagious. We'd built an empire together. His hotels, my designs, our combined influence making us one of New York's power couples. The whispers about Godfather/Goddaughter had faded into admiration for how we'd overcome. The scandal had become a love story. My mother appeared healthy and radiant, 3 years cancer-free. Let me take these angels. You two deserve a moment alone. In the quiet of my design studio, Leonardo pulled me close. Do you ever regret it? Running toward me instead of away? Not for a single second. Even with the danger, the violence, the complicated life. Especially because of those things. They made you who you are. And who you are is exactly who I need. I kissed him softly. My father tried to trap us both. But we turned his manipulation into the best thing that ever happened to us. Your father was a manipulative bastard who accidentally gave me everything. Funny how that works. Any regrets about Christmas Eve? About fleeing that wedding? I thought about Tyler, now living quietly in London, his assault charges public record after 2 more victims came forward. About Sienna, who'd sent a genuine apology letter last year. About my old life, the one where I'd made myself small to fit other people's expectations. My only regret is that I didn't run sooner. He laughed, rich and warm. Want to know a secret? Always. That hotel room door? It wasn't unlocked by accident. I'd asked staff to leave it open because I was expecting dry cleaning delivery. His smile turned mischievous. If it had been locked like it should have been, you'd have kept running. Found some other room. Some other escape. We might never have met. So fate was just a faulty lock? Fate was you being brave enough to run. The unlocked door was just convenience. He cupped my face. But I'm grateful for that faulty lock every single day. Because it gave me you. And I'm grateful for Christmas Eve. For catching Tyler with Sienna. For having the courage to listen to Peyton and flee. For every choice that led me to your door. To wrong doors that turn out right, he toasted with imaginary champagne. To rewriting stories we're born into. To monsters who learn to love. To women who teach them how. We stood in that studio, my empire built beside his, and I marveled at the impossibility of us. The goddaughter who wasn't. The godfather who became a husband. The arrangement that became forever. My father had tried to write our story before we could write it ourselves. But we'd taken his manipulation and turned it into magic. Turned obligation into choice. Turned a forced promise into real love. And 3 years later, with our children playing with their grandmother, with our empires thriving, with our love deeper than ever, I knew with absolute certainty. Running to that wrong room had been the rightest choice of my life. Because sometimes the best things come from the worst moments. From desperate flight into unexpected sanctuary. From running straight into the arms of the man you'd been running toward all along, even before you knew he existed. My father used to say the universe conspired to put us exactly where we needed to be. That Christmas Eve, running through a hotel in a wedding dress, I'd needed saving. What I'd found was so much more than that. I'd found home. I'd found choice. I'd found a man dangerous enough to protect me and gentle enough to let me protect myself. I'd found Leonardo. And I'd found myself. Forever intertwined. Forever choosing. Forever rewriting the stories we were born into. Together.